Welcome to Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don and Kevin, where we get to know the people who keep this city moving, keep it grooving, keep it growing, keep it thriving. That's you too, Kevin.
Don, how are you, Mr. Picasso?
Oh, Mr. Picasso, absolutely. Kevin's moving and grooving here every week, so we're moving and grooving together, as we've been doing for almost 3 years right now, with wonderful guests that really help make our city something special. And we have another one of them today. Her name is Kati Ballares. She's the Director of Public Art for Scottsdale Arts. Kati leads the vision and strategy behind one of the region's most dynamic public art programs, and she's now guiding the development of Scottsdale's public art plan, helping shape how art will define and connect the community for years to come. Kati, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So glad to have you here. And as we start every show, we love to check into the backgrounds of our guests, because I know you're going to tell us a few things that maybe people don't know about. So a little bit about your background first. Where did you grow up, and really what first drew you to public art as a career?
Yeah. I grew up in Rock Hill, South Carolina, just south of Charlotte, North Carolina, and went to school and got a degree in sculpture, and then graduated in the middle of an economic recession. So it was a bit of a challenge.
And where'd you go to school?
My undergraduate is from Covenant College in Lookout Mountain, Georgia.
Okay.
And then I got a master's degree from Winthrop University, which is in Rock Hill, in arts administration. And during that time, about 2008, I took a tour of the light rail line in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was just really struck by how important public art was as a part of building that line, because it really demonstrated that city's commitment to its citizens. It was providing them with this opportunity to experience art that wasn't exclusive, it wasn't intimidating, it was enhancing their day-to-day life. And the importance of that just really struck me. And the next day I called the director of that program and said, I'm a grad student, I have 1 day free, can I come show you what I can do? And that became an internship and then a full-time job. And 15 years later, here I am still chasing that passion for public art.
That's fabulous. I mean, you go to college and all of a sudden you take an internship into a career.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It was a hustle for a while figuring it out, but I would never go back and do anything different.
So how did you land in Arizona?
There was a public art project manager position available at the City of Phoenix in their Office of Arts and Culture. So I worked there for 5 years managing public art in the airport and for their water services department. It was a huge transition for me, not just from the job standpoint, but from like the environmental standpoint. I had no kind of concept of the impact of water usage here and how important it is in the desert. And so that really filtered into my work and my way of life.
And then how on to Scottsdale?
And then on to Scottsdale. Post COVID, the director position became available, and I'd always wanted to be the director of a program, and I loved the history and the foundation of Scottsdale's public art program. It is really integrated into the fabric of this city. The city's about to be 75 years old. This program is 53 years old. Wow. So this city committed to integrating public art early on in its, integration and development, and I feel honored to be a part of it.
I want to back up for a second. You got a degree in sculpture.
My bachelor's degree is in sculpture, yeah.
Did you ever hear of a bachelor's degree in sculpture before, Kevin?
I've heard of it, but I've never met anybody who has
Yeah.
that.
Me neither. Tell us a little bit about what that was. So are you doing sculpting now? Do you still do that?
I am not. I haven't really sculpted. I paint a little just for fun, but I learned in art school that I did not have a passion for making art, but what I loved was connecting my artist friends with opportunities to make their own art. And I went to a very conservative Christian university, and I found myself being able to kind of translate between some of the artists who were having a hard time communicating what their artwork was going to say and the sort of bureaucratic university culture where they were trying to present it. So I kind of figured out, okay, I can help here. I can help be this kind of bridge between two groups that may not speak the same language sometimes.
It's a powerful thing that can unite folks like that. It's what a connector, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know our public art program is 53 years old. You're right. That it really is woven into the fabric of our community.
Yeah. I would be remiss to say, so our commissioning started 53 years ago, but even prior to that, the city did have a program that was accepting donations. Our first donation to the collection was in 1967. So technically you can even consider the public art program a little bit older than 53 years, but our first commission piece was Windows to the West in 1973.
That's amazing. So we know the city has such a strong reputation for public art, but how do you define what makes public art work in a community like Scottsdale?
Specifically in Scottsdale, I think what makes it work is the community interest and support. Like I said, it's been a commitment from the city for a long time. The first public art ordinance was created in 1985, and that was the city's commitment to saying 1% of anything we build here in Scottsdale will have public art integrated into it. And it was supported wholeheartedly. And then it's even been supported by the development community. And in 1987, we established our art and private development ordinance called the Cultural Improvements Program. And these programs have led us to have 165 pieces in our public art collection. They are very well taken care of and beloved in this city. Yeah, and I think the other piece that's really important to it is the process of creating public art. Not only do we create these pieces of artwork that stand the test of time, they're around for 30 or more years. The process involves the community. We have the public sit on our artist selection panels. We do community engagement with every artist that we hire to help them develop the right kind of ideas and subject matter within their work. We work very closely with city capital improvement teams to make sure that the projects we're building are in line with their department's goals. So I'm looking at parks master plans. I'm looking at shade and tree master plans. I'm constantly trying to have my finger on the pulse of what is the city building and how can we help support that.
It's really cool. I love the way we build that into the development community and how the development community has accepted. They need to accept it because it's part of the process now. That's part of where there needs to be a certain amount of a development project spending that goes into the support of public art, right?
Yeah, the way that it works is in Old Town or the Air Park, there are requirements in the zoning ordinance. In Old Town, if you're building a building of a certain valuation that has public space, 1% of that building valuation has to go to integrating public art, or you have to donate that money in lieu to the city.
What happens mostly? What's usually the path for developers?
Most developers do it themselves.
So what does that mean? Do they commission the art and put it up themselves and they say, I've met the requirements now?
Yeah, there's a 3-step process. So they commission the artist and they bring that to the Scottsdale Public Art Advisory Board. So we do have review steps at 3 points. The development review board process is changing here a little bit in Scottsdale. So it used to be their stage 1 came to us just before DRB. And then their stage 2 process would be their concept of the artwork. And then stage 3 would be the engineering, the spacing, the lighting, the final budget. So we kind of do keep our finger on the pulse to make sure that it's in line with what other public art is in Scottsdale, what we know the community is interested in and seeing. In the Air Park area, it's a little bit different. It's not actually a requirement, but it's a bonus option. So if they want bonus height in their building, they can integrate public art as a portion of that.
Height.
And so some people choose that. People choose that.
That's becomes a wedge for people when they're trying to build more, more height into their projects, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we hear that. I knew that we all know about the DRB. I didn't know there was a design review process for art before it got to the DRB. That's interesting.
Yeah, so the Scottsdale Public Art Advisory Board has been around since 1987, and they're a very active board. They review. Yeah, we meet monthly, and they review every single city CIP project. They review every artist that's selected. They're a great support to us as a staff in just really understanding how the general public is going to react to the projects that we're building or placing there. I'm super grateful for that bit of structure that we have.
So who would sit on that board? What kind of person is on that board?
we try to make sure that board is made up of a variety of different expertise. We try to make sure we have an architect, an attorney, we have some public art experts, and then we just have some community members. It's always good to have somebody from the banking industry. Yeah. So we kind of take a broad look at it. We have 15 members, I think, on the board right now.
Okay.
Don needs a new board to sit on. That's why I asked.
I'm going to suggest Kevin for this one. He's got a better eye for art than I do anyway.
If you don't know, Don is on like 18 different boards. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to get off about 16 of them right now. So talk about the public art plan. I know you're in the process now of a 10-year plan.
Yes.
So give us the details of what's in that, what it means, why we need it.
Yeah.
Does it replace one that we're having now? So give us a lowdown on the public art plan.
So I came into this job in 2023, and our previous public art plan expired at the end of 2022. So we are a bit overdue for bringing in the next decade of planning. And if you look at our plan from 2012 through 2022, it outlined things like a signature event along the waterfront, which has now become our Canal Convergence event.
Yeah, right.
So it was like, how do we take this incredible program that we've built up to now and take it forward into the next decade? So we needed to make sure that we found the right consultants for this project to help us wade through the community engagement portion, but also not look at us as a new program. A lot of consulting firms that do public art planning are really great at creating plans for programs that have never done public art before. But we've been doing it for 50 years. We needed someone who had experience. So we found a group with 3 consultants out of California and San Jose, led by Barbara Goldstein, who literally wrote a book called Public Art by the Book, which is like a textbook that's basically given to everyone who works in public art when they first start. And then they brought on a sub-consultant, Martha Peters, from Texas, because she ran the public art program in Fort Worth. And so having that kind of experience of like a new modern Western city, and like how can we translate that history and this established program that we have going forward into the future. So right now they surveyed over 500 people in the city, and they are pulling together that survey data in addition to a lot of in-person meetings with city stakeholders. We met with Experience Scottsdale to talk about the tourism piece and how public art engages with that or supports that. They're pulling together all that data and research and creating a draft for us now, which I hope to have ready to share with council in this summer.
That's great. That's moving on a pretty fast timeline. Then. Technically, it doesn't need to be approved by the council, but you want to share with them to get their buy-in, right?
Absolutely. I think this is something that has such a long-standing history of support by anyone in Scottsdale. It can be a really unifying factor that we're continuing to look forward to integrate these experiences for all.
How do you look out 10 years? I mean, is it themes? Is it priorities? That's a long scope.
Both. It's actually not that hard, though, because the city has to look 10 years out to build park improvements or streets improvements. And so we kind of come right alongside that. The passage of Prop 490 last year set a path in place for lots of new park improvements. And so that will tie into this conversation that we have. And that's the perfect place to put art for the community in the public. So it's not too hard. We will kind of identify priorities and interests. That was a big part of our survey that we initiated last year. As the public, what kind of public art do you want to see? Do you want to see light-based art? Do you want to see artwork about history? Do you want to see artwork about culture? And so that research will help us identify what those priorities should be. We also had people identify on the map where they would like to see public art, which was really interesting. And when they put a dot on that map, it was color-coded for their age as well. So we were also able to kind of look at where are demographics shifting for different areas in Scottsdale, and what do those audiences look like for us?
I wonder how technology fits into that, Kevin. You've been at Desert Botanical Garden with the displays they have out there.
Amazing. Well, yeah.
So, I mean, have you seen the displays they're doing with the desert? I think it's called Desert Shadow or Desert Echoes, I think. But it's a digital display.
Yeah.
Time-lapse photography, filmed in the desert over the course of a year.
Yeah.
I just wonder, when you have technology that provides something like that in the garden, how does technology fit into the kinds of ways you think about public art in the future in Scottsdale?
It's really huge. We use technology in so many different ways. Obviously, we use it during our Canal Convergence event to create these temporary light-based artworks. It's more difficult to integrate technologically based artworks into permanent works because it's hard to take care of. But we are using technology in new ways for data gathering. So like now we can, I actually brought some information, some data that I pulled. We can now identify how many people are visiting each of our piece of public artworks using a software called Placer AI.
Geofencing.
It's geofencing. The city uses it to track how many people come to events. So we're kind of in line with the city of Scottsdale on that as well. We have placed a point on the map for every piece of public art. And so I just calculated this. I know that last year, more than 2.3 million people visited our public art sites. And I know that 1.9 million of those visits were over 10 minutes long. So if I think of that as sort of like a conversion rate of how many people are really engaging with the art versus just looking at it, I know 81% of the people visiting our artwork is really engaging with it. So we're doing a good job of creating artwork that keeps people interested in looking and thinking about it. So that's just one way we're using technology. We also use augmented reality. We have 25 pieces in the collection where if you download the Hoverlay app, you literally can have a virtual tour guide pop up and tell you about that piece of artwork through your phone. And we recently partnered with Bloomberg Connects to create some audio guides, which is an incredible resource because it's not only completely free for the user, but also for us as an organization. So we've created a public art guide for our walking tours in Old Town and in Civic Center, and we'll be continuing to add more of our pieces until they're fully on Bloomberg.
I love that you now have ways to identify how many people look at the art or visit the art. And the city, I think, is now demanding some of those answers the way it considers, at least this new council, the way it considers funding programs. So you can come to them with real proof now, can't you?
Actual data, yeah. And then we even have pieces that are only visible from your car, right? We have pieces that are in roundabouts or pieces that are on the highway. So how do you track that? So we're kind of thinking about how to track that as if we were tracking a billboard. And Placer AI does that as well, calling it a traffic pin. How much traffic passes by it?
So what are some of our major pieces in the collection that are the most popular ones? I keep thinking about what is it, One-Eyed Jack? Is that one of them? Or
One-Eyed Jack is definitely one of our most popular pieces. It's right in the heart of Old Town. I think people come to it and remember the controversy of what it went through putting it up. People really pushed back on it. But now I hear more positive feedback on that than anything else. He wears a Giants hat during spring training. He wears a wreath for Christmas. It's become a part of kind of Old Town culture, just the way the Arabian Horse Fountain in the roundabout down the way
that was going to be
been.
my next one I was going to identify. Those are I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I know there's some up on Raintree and Hayden Road. I don't know what that piece is called, but what are some of the other pieces that I'm missing?
So Civic Center is a great place to find a high concentration of them since we redeveloped that plaza. We have the Love Sculpture by Robert Indiana. Probably our most photographed piece of work. I think someone got proposed to in front of it a few weeks ago.
Sure.
Wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people have.
The Yearlings is a big one there. That's 3 horses that was sculpted by an artist named George Antognoni. That piece has been in our collection a very long time, but it really sort of represents the horse culture and the love of that culture here in Scottsdale. Other pieces that are really popular, the Pima 101 freeway. This is called The Path Most Traveled, the lizards along the freeway and the cacti. That piece just got repainted as the part of the Pima 101 work that ADOT just completed. That's just a real iconic piece. It's kind of how I explain what I do for work when people ask me, "Oh, what do you do?" And like, you know, the lizards on the freeway.
Yeah.
We built and take care of those.
Let me ask you this: you mentioned that the 3 horses are the one in the Civic Center. The fact that the Museum of the West is here and it's so heavily influenced on Western art, does that mean your public art, does it try to like offer an alternative and more contemporary art because that exists already? Or is there some, does that not even factor into what you're thinking about?
You know, it's not necessarily a priority for us. I think with each project, we try to consider what's the most appropriate type of artwork, what's the most appropriate artist for it. I don't think we would shy away from Western art. We have tended more towards contemporary and modern art because it's sort of the foundation that we've established. But we do have plenty of Western-themed and more traditional Western artwork in our collection. Up at Westworld, we have a large sculpture with 3 horses.
Yeah.
It's very traditional, juxtaposed with a Jeff Zischke sculpture that's very contemporary and modern too. But like, it's really important for us to recognize that there because of the Arabian Horse Show and the foundations here.
So, how do you say what goes into choosing artists that you use for the public art, and how does that balance off with, you know, global artists versus local artists? How does that whole mix come together?
So we have about a balance of half and half, local and non-local. And we kind of base our practices off of best practices in the field. There is a national field of public art professionals. We're actually bringing them here for a conference in November, which is really exciting. The Public Art Exchange group is coming here. But we use typically an RFQ process where artists apply to an open call. And then we pull together a panel of community experts. There's a representation from our art advisory panel. We typically have an artist sit on that board as well, a local artist. And then that review panel considers the type of project, the city's goals for the project, and what kind of artist is going to be right for it. It oftentimes has to do with restrictions of the project. Right now, we're doing a project that it's concrete. It's hardscaping in a park. And so in that instance, you can't really do much 3D work. So we're really looking for an artist who kind of focuses in a 2-dimensional way. So I have an incredible staff that has a great knowledge and understanding of how these processes work. And then we work really hard to make good relationships in the community so that we have people to serve on these panels that give us the representation that we need.
Are there any areas in Scottsdale right now that you think are next up for displaying some public art, some areas of need?
You know, when you look at the map, we have a high concentration of artwork in Old Town. Mm-hmm. Central Scottsdale, not so much. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see us be able to spread out a little bit more. South Scottsdale, we need to spread out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to see some things like that. I also have a real interest in like creating artwork that celebrates our natural desert landscape. I'm not saying I want to impact the preserve, but there are some parks that have really incredible trails that could have public art on them.
Do we have another preserve initiative coming up here, Kevin?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
We could bring in an artist in residence to create something really impactful and engaging to get more support.
I agree 100%. You know the Chicago bean? You're familiar with the bean in Chicago?
Yeah, no, huh? Yeah.
That piece of artwork that's
got a big bean?
kind of translucent.
Yeah.
It's a silver.
Yeah.
I think we should have one with a tamale. Or some
Oh,
sort
I
of
like
cover,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So that piece is called Cloudgate by Anish Kapoor.
Oh, it is? I thought it was called the bean.
It's called Cloudgate, but it is affectionately
bean, it's a
known
cloud?
as the bean.
All right.
It looks like a bean.
It does look like a bean.
I hear that all the
I
time.
bet.
We need something like the bean here in Scottsdale. People crave something iconic and memorable, and that's, I think, going to be something that is really prioritized in this plan. We do have some iconic pieces. I mean, the love sculpture is definitely one of them, but in this day and age of like Instagrammable works or artwork that you plan your trip around to go see. Like I planned a trip to Chicago to see Cloudgate. Like it really is important to have pieces like that in your collection. And I think that's something that our 10-year plan is going to reflect, because we heard so much of that in our survey.
Well, thanks for the correction, because my wife's on a plane to Chicago right now, and they're going there tomorrow, and I'm going to correctly give the right name of the artwork now.
Yeah. You can even give
It's
them
not called the Bean.
you can even get
That's
the
your
artist
trivia
name,
for
man.
the day.
Yeah.
You can even impress her.
Cloudgate. Yep.
By-
It's like our Windows to the West piece. The name of that piece is actually Atmospheres and Environments 13.
Really?
But Windows to the West is a lot easier to say. I love
Now,
that.
where's that piece at?
That's on Civic Center as well. It used to be in the center of a fountain right in front of City Hall.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a large, modern. That's the first piece that we commissioned into our collection. That's one of our oldest pieces. I love that public art gets nicknamed. That means the community loves it, and they gives it its own nickname, they embrace it, you know? I love
The
it.
Chicago Bean. You can even tell Bronwyn what the artist's name is now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can.
you're deep in this
I
now,
can.
man.
Oh, I'm gonna. Yeah, she's gonna be so impressed.
Are there any other examples of public art in other cities that stand out to you that you guys, because you knew the Bean right off the top of your head. Other instances like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is my whole life. I really have been fascinated by artwork in the MTA transit system for a very, very long time. James Carpenter has an incredible piece, and there's a piece by a woman named Zenobia Bailey in one of their main transfer stations in the subway in New York City. Okay. It's a 3,000 square foot mosaic tile mural that she designed by crocheting the pattern like this, and then they blew it up into mosaic tiles that like are displayed above your head. It's really remarkable. Wow. It's really remarkable. Phoenix has some really incredible public art too. The Janet Eckelman that's right over their Civic Center Park in the middle of town, and I think they've been doing some really incredible things with like skatable public art, things you can play on, like play structures and skate parks, and I would like to see us be able to integrate some more of that artwork you can play on.
I think we need to do a campaign about what should Scottsdale's Bean be.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
You know,
Right.
come up with have some fun with that maybe. Get the public involved with it. Say, let's create a Scottsdale Bean,
Or a
if you will.
tortilla chip.
Tortilla chip or a tamale or a refried bean. I don't know, whatever works. But that's
A
fantastic.
refried being a little flat.
That'd be hard to do that, but
it
I
wouldn't
bet an artist could do that in
any
kind of a
dimensions to
cool
it, yeah.
way. Whatever. Throw some cheese on there, and who knows what you got, right? Do you have a favorite piece of public art in Scottsdale?
You know, I get asked this question all the time, and I feel like my opinion changes based on how much time I've spent with a piece recently. We just relocated a piece called The Bell, the Flower, and the Wash, which was kind of tucked away and hidden at a fire station on Miller Road. And they're currently expanding this fire station to make room for 6 ambulances. So we had to move it. So we had to find a new location. Now it's at the corner of 77th Street and McDowell Road. It's raised up high. You can see it from the street. You can see it from Indian Bend Wash when you're walking or riding your bike. I think it's in a much more desirable location. More people can enjoy it from different viewpoints. And the artist, Ilan Averbach, is just really remarkable in the way that he thinks about symbols and natural stone. And I'm also super impressed by the feat of moving in. That piece weighs 14 tons. Ooh, wow. And so it was quite a feat of collaboration to get that moved in just a couple months and re-engineered. And so The Bell, the Flower, and the Wash is my favorite right now.
Love it. We'll ask you again for a new one later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Another great conversation, Kevin.
I learn something every day. Whenever we have somebody on from Experience Scottsdale or Scottsdale Arts, it's always a really good conversation.
It totally is, because we always learn some stuff that
Yeah.
we think we know a lot about what's going on in both those areas, but maybe not so much.
No.
So that's part of what we do too.
And not only that, but it's just really a testament to the founder of our city and the leaders of our city a long time ago.
Yep.
How they made this a priority, and it's lasted all these years, and now it's really, like I said it before, woven into our fabric. But
Totally right.
it
I was
really
thinking
is.
that same word, fabric. It's part of our fabric, no question. Katie, thank you so much for being with us today, and also for just all that you're doing for Scottsdale Arts.
Thank you.
Fabulous. You bring such passion and expertise to this. It's been been a delight to talk to you, and it's been a delight to watch you work in our city.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back again, of course, as you know, with another edition of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.